Happy Monday. 6:50. I'm on my way to work, obviously. I might actually be on my way to get a donut. For some reason, I have just this craving for an old-fashioned glazed donut, and it's Monday, and I just feel like I deserve to have it, so that might be what I get ready to do. I had a great weekend. Again, I didn't do anything spectacular. It was just great because I really did minimal work, and the little bit of work that I did do was just by choice, and it wasn't even that much. And before I say anything else, the video that I uploaded, not the last vlog, but the vlog where I was talking about stress levels of teachers, the one titled First Year Teachers Are Extinct. Again, I really did not expect the kind of response to that video that I got in terms of the amount of comments, because that was something I really just chose to film and upload at the spur of the moment. But I just want to say I have been trying very hard to acknowledge and or respond to every comment that's been made, and that has been challenging because there's been quite a few comments. I think last I checked it was a few hundred. So if I have not responded to your comment, it's not because I don't want to, it's just because I haven't gotten to your comment yet, but I have every intention of doing so. So yeah, I had a great weekend. I'm gonna try and remember to just kind of show you what I've been forcing myself to do during the week so that I can do little to no work over the weekend. It's nothing like revolutionary. I think it's just a matter of me just deciding that I'm going to just put in the work. I'm gonna do whatever I need to do Monday through Friday within reason, so that when Saturday and Sunday comes, I don't feel this overwhelming need to be working. I think the biggest thing that I've done is just making sure that I always have 2 weeks worth of plans, and using planbook.com. Planbook.com is a huge time saver to me. This video is not sponsored at all, because invariably you plan something as a teacher and then you don't have enough time, or things run longer, and you can just bump lessons forward. So it's not that hard right now for me to stay planned 2 weeks in advance, because every day just about I don't get to something that I thought I would get to. And it turns out that I am getting a donut. I just drove myself right here without giving it much more forethought. So I'm gonna park the car, I'm gonna get this donut, and then I'll be right back. So that just happened. Donuts have really increased in price. Back in the day, when I was young, I feel like I could get 2 donuts for $1 and maybe some change, like a little bit over $1. Just one glazed donut now costs $1. Anyway, so yeah, I would like to try and share what I've done, although like I said, it's not anything revolutionary. I do think as a middle school teacher, for me at least, having an hour prep every day definitely helps, and only planning for 2 subjects helps. And just psychologically, I've just had to start teaching myself to just stop. Like, you just need to stop. Like, the world is not going to come to an end if you don't grade all the papers in that particular stack. So I would be the type where I'm like, if I started grading a stack of papers, I wanted to keep going until that whole stack was done. Well, there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, I'm going to grade these papers and I'm going to give myself, 15 minutes and I'll finish the stack tomorrow. That's something that I've been trying to force myself to do. So all in all, a great weekend. Saturday, I worked out. I came home. My parents came over to watch the basketball game, really with my brother, not me. I re-edited the vlog that went up yesterday because it disappeared the week before. And so I was relieved that I was able to get that re-uploaded. And then yesterday, I worked out, got my car washed, did church online, got a 90-minute massage, which was great. And then I just came home and I just relaxed. So these past 2 Mondays that I've woken up without really working over the weekend, I have woken up without that chest pain that I was waking up with, and not feeling just like dread or overwhelm. And I can only attribute that to the fact that I'm giving myself 2 days off during the weekend. Now, I didn't get as much done on Friday as I wanted to. So there were some things I wanted to grade that I didn't get graded, but that was because I had a meeting on Friday for a committee that I'm on with the district, and it's like me and some parents, the African American Parent Educator Advisory Committee, and we had a meeting at a restaurant, but it was still a meeting, and so I lost a few hours doing that. So yeah, so today is a minimum day at the middle school level. I have a staff meeting after school, and I can't remember exactly what activity I'm doing today in my subjects, so as soon as I get that figured out, I'll be sure to check in with you. But so far, I have a donut, so it's going to be a good day. Right. Hello. It is a little after 5 o'clock. I'm at home. I had every intention of checking in with you in my classroom. That didn't quite pan out. I think the last thing I recorded or vlogged was me prepping during my prep period. And then the rest of the day happened. There was a staff meeting after school. Then I got my classroom ready for tomorrow. Had to go to the office for a bit and chat for a second. And that has brought me back home. Today was overall a pretty good day. I didn't get as much done like prep wise as I wanted to. Like I really wanted to get some things graded and get some more grades entered into the system, but that didn't happen. But that is okay. That is me having to tell myself the world is still somehow spinning, even though you did not get those grades entered on the day that you intended to get that done. But my plan is to get some of that done tonight. In language arts, we did a second read of Cujo. For Unit 1 of Study Sync, which is all about suspense. In this second read, they annotate for specific questions that I wanted them to be able to answer. We also, I also introduced the second article of the week, which I feel bad because I wish I was showing this to you, but hopefully tomorrow I will remember to do that. So again, the product that I'm getting these worksheets for lack of a better term, is from Read It, Write It, Learn It. So this week we watched the Week in Rap, which has switched to the former format, which I've learned from Megan at Too Cool for Middle School, used to just be straight rap, like just the current events and just pure rap format. All my students and I know is what we had seen up until this point, which is where a person, a female, came on and like spoke the news and told you what the issues were, and then after that was like a summary of what she had said in rap form. And Megan said her kids, well, actually she didn't even say her kids loved it. She just preferred that format better, and it sounds like a lot of teachers did as well. So Flowcabulary switched back over to that format as of the most recent Week in Rap, and my kids actually preferred the format that we've seen, where someone speaks the news first and then raps it. I think that maybe it's just what they're used to, but also it may just be more, they may prefer it more because you get to hear the news just spoken straight out first, and then you get like a rap interpretation of it. So we watched this week's Week in Rap, and one of the news stories was about cats and their attachment styles. So that is what I chose, so that this week's topic was a little more light and not quite as heavy with what we did last week, which was on social media and some of the mental and psychological effects it could have. So we watched the video. I showed them the assignment for their article of the week, and I will show that to you at some point this week. And then we read the article together, and so they know that on Friday I'll be collecting the paper version of the assignment and then giving them the digital version of what they need to complete there. So that's what we did in language arts. Today went by really fast because my class periods are only 40 minutes each, so I was talking super fast. And then in social studies, we did just something really light because for the most part, our focus has been on understanding like the colonist viewpoint, and by colonists I mean like the patriots viewpoint of the events that led up to the Revolutionary War, or the patriots viewpoint during all this colonial unrest. So today we focused on understanding the difference between a loyalist and a patriot, and then we read a passage from I think it was a letter that she wrote from someone named Ann Holton, who is describing a tarring and feathering of someone in New York, and I think it was 1774. So we read her words, interpreted what she was saying, and then throughout the process I was asking the kids, you know, do you feel sorry for this person that's being tarred and feathered? Because based on this description, it was a very violent situation that this man was going through. And so my first class was like, nope, we don't feel sorry for him at all. And then my second class had a little bit more sympathy. So we talked about that. And the end of it was just like they were given the opportunity to record some things that they wonder, some questions that they have about this whole situation scenario. And they had some pretty good questions. Like some of them were like, well, why don't the British officials stop these things from happening? Or, you know, how could the Patriots do this even though they know that it's wrong? So that opened up some great conversation from those questions. And so in terms of teaching, that's pretty much what I did today. And then we had our staff meeting after school. So as far as what I need to do today, or this evening, now that I'm home, I need to cook a Blue Apron meal, which is going to be some tacos. And I need to get the grading done that I thought I would get done earlier today. So that's what I'm gonna do. But overall, a good Monday. Wish I would have gotten more done, but I can only do so much. There's only so much time in the day. So I'm more than likely going to say goodbye for the day here. If I'm feeling ambitious, maybe I'll vlog some footage of me cooking dinner, since I feel like I haven't done that in a long time. But if not, you'll see me tomorrow. So see you soon. I was feeling a little motivated, so I did just vlog a little bit of me cooking. I just finished cooking a Blue Apron meal. I have a lot of new subscribers over the past year, but if you are new, I have been doing Blue Apron probably for 3 or 4 years now at this point. It is a meal delivery service. This video is not sponsored at all. I'm not being paid, but it's one of the things that I do as a form of self-care. Do I necessarily love cooking every time I do it? No, but I do love the fact that I'm actually having a meal and getting to try new things that I wouldn't have thought of otherwise. And it's actually, in my opinion, more economical than me grocery shopping and coming up with meal plans, because a lot of times I end up with more ingredients than what I need. So if you're interested, let me know. And I think I have links that I can send so that you can try it for free. But tonight I made Chipotle barbecue chicken tacos. So that is what it's supposed to look like when it's all said and done. These are all the pizzas right here. I just haven't made the tacos yet. This looks really bad, but this is just pepitas. That's the other thing. I would have never made something with pepitas before had not been for this. So I just need to warm up these tortillas after I finish taking a shower, make my tacos, eat the salad to go with it. And then that's it. And then I just also finished packing my lunch. In case you're interested what's for lunch tomorrow, I have some leftover macaroni and cheese in there that my mom made over the weekend. Some pulled pork is in there. And then I normally have that or something like that. I normally have a salad actually, but the salads at the grocery store have been iffy. So I haven't had a salad in the past week or so. But I always have apples. I always have my apples with some peanut butter. Also in here after school, I will eat a Kind bar. And then I also have like some form of cheese. This is a pepper jack cheese stick. And normally I also have a breakfast burrito in there. But since I had a donut this morning, I did not eat my breakfast burrito today, so it's in the freezer of my classroom. So dinner is cooked, my lunch is packed. I'm getting ready to go take a shower, eat dinner, and then I'm going to get as much as I can done tonight. So for reals this time. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good morning. It's Wednesday. I didn't vlog at all yesterday. I had the best of intentions, but I was busy during the day, and then I left after school, and then I went and got not a pedicure, a manicure. Here's the new look. By the time I got home, it was close to 9. I ate dinner and was deathly tired. So I didn't get to vlog, but I wanted to jump on really quick. I'm gonna talk really fast because the bell is going to ring in a few minutes to start the day. I wanted to show you some examples of the article of the week that I started for the first time last week. So these are going to be exemplars. Like, these are kids that like did it perfectly. I couldn't ask for anything more. I shared this with my classes yesterday so they can kind of see this is like the level of what I'm looking for if you want to get the top score. So this is one student's annotations. You can see, like, and I read all of their comments, but you can see that she paid close attention to what she was reading. She really thought about it. This student even like color coded her annotations and gave me like a little key. So I showed that one. The next one, let me move the camera because I don't want to show the student's name. There we go. So this was the very first one that I graded that I thought like this is a 6 out of 6. So just, again, just very clear. She color coded her notes. And I was just so impressed. Like, it literally just made me shed an internal teacher tear. So I showed that to my classes yesterday so that they could kind of see, there's the bell, what I was looking for. But even just reading their annotations, like, it just was very eye-opening. And what I like about it, at least with this, is you really got some insight on how they were feeling, at least in relationship to social media and how they interact with social media. So again, the product is from Read It, Write It, Learn It, who is I believe she's a high school teacher. And I just got it off of Teachers Pay Teachers. I will try and remember to link it to this video, but if I don't, it's on my last vlog. But if you teach middle school or high school, I highly recommend it. The articles so far I've been pulling from Newsella and tying them in with the weekend wrap from Vocabulary, and that so far has been working really well. I'm only 2 weeks in, but it seems to work. So I gotta get the kids and start my day, and I will check in with you later. Well, hello guys, it is Friday. It's about 4:45. I believe the last time I vlogged was Wednesday before school started, and then just haven't picked up the camera since then. But I definitely wanted to check in before I officially end my week in the classroom, because I'm just gonna go home to work on some things in a minute. But I just wanted to recap some of the highlights of the week, since this has not been the most consistent vlog. The first two things I just want to share have nothing really to do with teaching, and just are more like moments that I had with students. My first one is probably one of my favorite memories of teaching so far, just because it was like such a genuine moment of me and a student just like, I don't know, I guess connecting would be the word. So somehow in my switch class, we were talking about, oh, I know what it was. One of my students had a piece of Mexican candy on her desk that I have tasted before, and I was just saying that that was one that I didn't really like because it had like this weird texture. And then that like sparked off a whole nother conversation of just like different Mexican candies and Mexican treats. And at this particular table group, there were, I think, 4 students, and 3 out of the 4 were Hispanic. And so they all knew these different candies that they were talking about, but then there was one girl that is Caucasian and like didn't know about what they were talking about, including me. They were mentioning a lot of things I had never heard before. So they were just like going on about these different treats and how much they love them. And she just had this look on her face of like, she just was like, I have no idea what they're talking about. But at the same time, she was very respectful and engaged in what they were saying and interested, and she wanted to be a part of the conversation. So she just like said, well, I like Oreos. I just genuinely laughed, not at her. I just thought it was the cutest thing. And then her and I were laughing because like, it was just funny. Like, she was trying, and she's like, well, let me just tell you what I like. You guys are being very like, mentioning these like exotic sounding treats that I have no idea about, but I can tell you that I like Oreos. So her and I laughed, and I just said, me too, I like them too. So that was my favorite, just because it was like a lighthearted moment, and it was like a genuine moment, and I think we both got a kick out of that. And then my other one is yesterday. This was more of like just a reminder of like how students remember you. So I was on the phone in my classroom, and my door was cracked open, and a student came in. And I was talking on the phone, but I was looking at the student at the same time, because like he looked familiar, but then he didn't look familiar. And then I told the person on the phone, I was like, hold on, I have a student in my doorway, and I think it's one of my former students. And then like I literally told myself, Like if you were to imagine that face younger, who do you think that is? And then I was able to figure it out. So it was a student that I had in 5th grade. He's now in the 9th grade, and he was just on campus visiting his previous teachers, and he heard that I was here, so he came and found me. And so we were just talking about his time in high school and like some of his memories of middle school. And he was telling me about a teacher last year who had like a rough group of 8th graders here and all of that. And then somehow he mentioned that I think I said something like, oh, my classes are really good this year. I can't imagine something like that happening. And I said, I'd like to think it's because they understand that while I might be very particular and strict in certain ways, that I also am like very interested in knowing them and like connecting with them. And he said, oh yeah, I remember you in 5th grade, like you were really good at connecting with us. And that just really touched my heart because it told me that my efforts, even at the 5th grade level, the kids recognize, like in the midst of all my high expectations or strictness or whatever they want to call it, that they really did recognize in the midst of all that, I really was always trying to make sure I was connected to each of them, and that they knew that I saw them and saw who they were and recognized who they were. And even when he was talking about some of the classes that he knew were difficult last year, because he said as a group of 8th graders last year, it was like a crazy year, and that, you know, they weren't always the most behaved, and he even acknowledged that he had done some things last year that he now looks back on and regrets. Like, that also helped me to see that these are kids, and even when they're doing things that are wrong, or even if they've done something that's wrong, it doesn't mean that they don't have like a sense of remorse about it. Because he genuinely was like, man, I like did this, and then I never really got to apologize to the teacher. So it was just like a very endearing moment, if that's the right word. So those are 2 highlights that are just more about student interactions that I had this week. Aside from that, we had a window decorating contest for Hispanic Heritage Month. honestly, I wasn't going to do it because I couldn't figure out how I was going to have time to have my kids come up with some artistic thing to display in the window. But then in the final hour, I said, well, I know I'm going to recognize Dia de los Muertos, so I went on Teachers Pay Teachers to see if they just had like a quick and easy coloring sheet, and they did. So this is how I decorated the window in my classroom. So this wasn't free, but I think it was like $3 for these different versions of coloring sheets. And then the banner up there I had from last year, and then this little sign here I got from Michael's. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep it because I'm just not sure, which is why, if you notice, the price tag is still on it. But I got this little cat figurine because Michael's was having a sale on their items, and it was all 50% off. So I hung those up, and the kids, even though they're 8th graders, came in today and they were super excited to see like where theirs was and identify theirs on the wall. So I did that. As far as today is concerned, and as far as how I'm feeling right now today, and honestly guys, this week I've been really tired these past couple of days. Like, I was invited to go hang out with some other members of the staff after work, and I should have gone, but then I didn't go because A, I'm super tired, B, like I'm very committed to making sure I have things ready on Friday nights so that I can really have a weekend to myself. And this is a 3-day weekend, so I wasn't really prepared to leave, and I didn't want to forfeit that. And honestly, C, I am trying to stick to a more precise budget, and this little get-together was outside of my budget. So I've just been really tired. I'm so glad it's Friday, and that's how I'm feeling in the moment. But as far as what I taught today, we mostly did social studies. I told the kids I'm wearing this shirt. I don't know if you can see it. I got this last year, but it says women belong in all places where decisions are being made, and it's a image of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Because today is International Day of the Girl, I didn't have any shirts that specifically referenced International Day of the Girl, so this was as close as I could get. I showed them I showed them a quick video clip to give them some background on why we have something called International Day of the Girl. And then at the last minute, I switched my social studies lesson. We were going to be doing this activity where we examine what really happened at with the Battle of Lexington and Concord. I pushed that off to next week because Monday is for some, Columbus Day, and for others, Indigenous Peoples Day. We have Monday off, but we're not recognizing it as Columbus Day anymore. I think there was a time in this district where we did have it off because it was Columbus Day, but now it's just listed as a non-student day. I think they kept it there, and I'm pretty sure they kept it there because I was in contract negotiations when I think we talked about this. I told the kids today, before we did this lesson on Columbus, that we still have the day off because honestly, this is the point in the trimester where everybody's tired. The teachers are tired, the kids are tired, so we just decided to keep the day so that we can have a longer weekend. But last year for Columbus Day, with my third graders, I showed them a brain pop video that gave them information about Columbus and Columbus Day, and then I read this book, The Encounter, to kind of introduce the idea that some people do not celebrate Columbus Day, but instead they recognize Indigenous Peoples Day. I wanted to do something similar with middle schoolers, but I felt like that was a little too primary. So what I did was, let me get this paper, is at the beginning of the year, I told them that as a part of social studies, I wanted them to be in the habit of questioning things and looking at things critically and, you know, all of that. So this lesson was given to me by one of the chairs in 8th grade, and this comes from a resource that we refer to as PACT. So I can't share this in any way. I can give you a link to it. But it was basically this, and the title is Christopher Columbus, Thinking Like a Lawyer, and the driving question was whether or not Christopher Columbus should be remembered as a hero or as a villain. So in this, they get different excerpts. Some are primary sources, some are secondary sources, and we reviewed what those terms meant, what the definitions were. Some of the primary sources are words from Christopher Columbus's journal, and then the secondary sources are from two people who believe that Christopher Columbus should be viewed as a hero. There is no source material that specifically says he should be viewed as a villain, because by this point they've heard both sides of the argument in terms of, you know, he didn't really discover America because there were natives already living there. They've learned that through exploration, diseases came, slavery came, so they are aware of that. So we read through each of these. The first one is a piece of Christopher Columbus's journal entry. This is the same journal entry, but it gives a little bit more context as to what this first one was saying. The other two, or the next two, are secondary sources. One is from a poet that lived from 1754 to 1812, and then one is from a historian who wrote for the Catholic Social Science Review, and that was published in 1992. And then the last thing is a journal entry by Christopher Columbus the day before they land in the Americas. So we talk about that, we read it, we kind of translate it into everyday language, and then as a class, we brainstorm reasons why someone would view him as a hero, reasons why someone would view him as a villain, and then independently, I kind of frame this around the courtroom and say, this is your closing argument. They are asked to make a decision. Is Christopher Columbus, should he be remembered as a hero or as a villain? And they have to make a claim and support it with text evidence. Interesting, like I heard some great debates at different table groups, and quite a few kids, which I thought was surprising, didn't feel like he was either one, like they couldn't really make a decision. So I said, you're gonna need to make a decision. You're gonna have to decide which one is he more of than the other, and just kind of go off of that. So we did that today. That took most of the time that I had with both classes, and with the time that I had left, then I read the book The Encounter. So this is the same book I've read in elementary school, but this actually ties in really nicely to this assignment because this book is based on the same journal entries. So at the end of that activity in reading this book, I let them know, like, these are the reasons why there are some people that celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, and then just let them know that I'm not going to tell them what they should or should not celebrate, but just that they should be informed of the two different perspectives. So I haven't had a chance to read their responses as far as whether or not they thought he was, or think he should be remembered as a hero or a villain, but I am curious to see. Some kids that I didn't think would think he should be viewed as a hero, I heard them saying that that's what they were going to put down. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. But all in all, I'm just super tired. I'm super thankful that it's Friday. I might come in on Monday because there's some things in my room that I kind of want to not rearrange, but like wall designations need to be thought through a little bit, I think. So I'm getting ready to leave now. I feel like I've been talking very fast and a lot. I need to go get my car rinsed off because some birds had a field day on my car yesterday. So I'm gonna probably do that. Pick up an egg roll to go with the dinner that I'm cooking tonight. Might pick up a Starbucks so I don't fall asleep on the couch. Work as much as I can tonight, and then give myself a break over the weekend. So that has been what has happened. If you enjoyed this vlog, even though it wasn't super consistent in terms of me checking in every day, please give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please make sure that you do so. Again, I think I said this on Monday. If you commented on my previous, not my previous, but the one before where I talked about teacher stress and related that to first year teacher stress, if I have not responded to your comment, I'm so sorry. It is very, I don't know that I'll be able to respond to everyone at this point, but thank you to all of you who went on, made a comment, shared your experience. I appreciate it. But again, I hope you're doing well. I will see you in the next vlog, and take care. So see you then. Bye guys.